So first off, it's a double act, so it is a little bit different. Sanna Sokolow is the Executive Director of Stanford's new program for disease, ecology, health and the environment. And she is working to discover and promote ecological solutions that benefit both human health and a healthy environment. Her partner in crime is Giulio De Leo, Professor of Biology, and his interests are in ecological theory, particularly life-based models, in population dynamics and management. They both come from the Hopkins Marine Station at Stanford University, and they're going to tell us about their work on ecological-based approaches to disease prevention. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're very excited to be here, very energized. Okay. There we go. And we're going to tell you a story today about promoting ecologically based solutions, approaches for preventing disease. And it's a story of dams, snails, and schistosomiasis. And just a quick outline, it's going to be a brief story in 3 parts. First, I'm going to tell you the Senegal story, which is the primary field site where we work. Then I'm going to, in part 2, tell you a little bit about how this story might translate into more, a scaled-up approach or more broad implications. And lastly, Giulio is going to jump in, and you're going to hear his lovely Italian accent telling you about part 3, which is what's next for this research, where are we going to go with it. So part 1, it's a story of lost prawns, which you can see in the background there, and gained disease. And this site is Makadiama in northern Senegal, and it's at a site not unlike this one, where we, a couple of years ago, discovered an ecologically based solution to schistosomiasis. So all of this lovely water and vegetation here, lurking under the surface, is a bunch of aquatic snails harboring a parasite called schistosomiasis, which this village actually has more than 90% of the children are infected. 1/3 of those have actually 2 different species of schistosomiasis lurking in their blood vessels. So what is schistosomiasis? Just a very brief, and why do we care about it? It's a parasitic infection so common that it rivals malaria as one of the most important tropical diseases of the world. It's passed by people through their excreta, and the eggs reach the environment and find particular species of snail hosts, which then release more larvae that are infectious back to us through the water. So all we got to do is wade or bathe in the water. We don't even have to drink it, and we can become infected. It leads to a host of different impacts, including, very severe ones, including death, liver failure, bladder cancer, in chronic long-term infection. There is a drug, and this is almost a magic drug. It's 99% effective, and it does reduce infected people and rid them of their worms, reducing the amount of eggs going into the environment. The problem is that once people go back into the environment, even the very next day, they pick up new worms, and there's this endless treadmill of infection and reinfection. So just jumping ahead to the punchline again, we did a study published 2015 in PNAS here that did show that when we restored prawns to the environment, essentially boiled down to more prawns meant fewer snails and less disease. Why is that? Essentially what we did was we interrupted that second arm of the life cycle there that was left behind when we only focused on treating human infection. And why do we have to restore this prawn in the first place? This is the Diama Dam, located about 25 kilometers inland in Senegal, built in 1986. And you can see from this satellite composite imagery, the years up in the upper left corner, it will repeat again, that there was massive changes to the ecosystem upstream of the dam being the red bar there. What you can't see from the air is that under the water, there was a lot of species that depended on the connectivity of that river, which was then blocked when the dam came in. So not the least of which is this migratory river prawn that we focused on. So above the dam, after the dam, their populations were essentially extirpated. And then I want to just point out that this prawn is actually distributed all the way from Senegal. It's the northern border all the way down to Angola, and there are at least 23 other migratory species of prawns. This dark gray shows their distributions, their habitat distributions around the world. And Schistosomyces similarly is distributed around the tropics. And you can see that where we work is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg, and we have, and that this process may be going on elsewhere. And so that led us to part two, which is the question of where else. Is the Senegal story unique? Well, we thought perhaps not. So in a nutshell, we used GIS-based mapping of where the prawn distributions are in dark gray again, and where upstream catchments of river systems are blocked by dams. So you can see the Senegal River catchment there in yellow. And long story short, Senegal was not the only catchment that overlapped prawn habitat, which has now been blocked. So essentially we took disease data from a global repository for schistosomyces over about 70 years and showed that, in fact, in those areas where prawn access was presumably blocked, schistosomyces rose more than in dammed areas outside of those prawn ranges, dramatically more. So this is probably not just a Senegal story, and that was published not only in this Lancet Commission as an abstract, but the full paper just came out last week, so I encourage you guys to check out the details and ask us if you would like to know more. And with that, we reach, so in conclusion, the prawns that I did not mention are absolutely delicious. So we would like to scale this up and have them be a restored fishery there. It would be a win-win-win in terms of health, livelihoods, and ecosystem integrity. It's not a unique story to Senegal, and this is really the great case study for co-benefits, and I'm going to pass to Julio.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sanna. So we finally get to the part three, what's next? So what broader lesson are, we learning from our Senegalese project, and where are we going with this very exciting study and the opportunities that is created? So what you see here, I'm going to answer to this question with 3 slides. The first one is about the drone picture, there's video of the aquaculture facility that our partner in Senegal, the Espoir pour la Santé Biomedical Research Center, has built with the support of the Grand Challenges Canada, the GATE Foundation, with our support and in coordination with the Aquaculture Agency of Senegal. And this aquaculture facility is aimed to produce the prawns that we need to run our pilot studies and potentially in the next 5-10 years to scale these up and, if possible, basically deploy this intervention to all the lower basin of the Senegal River. And just let me tell the truth, this is the most challenging part, is to basically getting this wild creature into an economically sustainable commercial operation. It's very difficult, and we are working on all these challenges. The second point is that it's not actually only about prawns. So working in the field there, we learn a lot. And another very interesting aspect is that there is an army of enemies that can deliver potentially the same public health service in controlling the parasites or its intermediate host. And whether there are other freshwater predators, for instance, like the catfish here, or what we call the ecological engineers, that are basically those species that might transform the environment by browsing down the vegetation where the snail thrive. And so we are looking these actively, but this has led also us to broader questions. How can we create innovative ecological intervention that, like in our prawn restoration project, might help to, basically improve the environment and also benefit people. And in order to do that, Sanna, Sokolow, and I launched this program for disease ecology, health, and the environment at Stanford University. And we are actually willing, to involve you all. And after the session is finished, we will be glad to talk more about these specifically. And I want also to give you just a teaser about the first public event as a program for disease ecology, health, and environment. We're going to launch at the end of June in Santa Barbara. It is called Ecological Levers of health, and specifically focus on the area of transmissible, communicable diseases, and more broadly, how we can improve basically the conservation of the integrity of the environment and human health. You are all invited to either come along or to stay connected, stay tuned. This is the website down here where we are going to post also the outcome. We would like to be, to some extent, the Western gathering of the public health, of the planetary health initiatives. And with that, I want to thank you all for your attention, and thanks also all the institution and partners involved here. Thank you very much.
So that's terrific. So we have our first example where the drugs are there, but they're not the answer, and we have co-benefits of health and a tasty dinner.